Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Airwingmarine, and I dive deep into extraction shooters, and now we get to add Arc Raiders to that list. We've been covering this game since Tech Test 2, and today we're recapping the server slam that just wrapped up over the weekend. This was Embark Studios' big stress test before the full launch on October 30th. And it was open to everybody on PC through Steam and Epic, as well as PlayStation and Xbox. If you played it, drop your thoughts in the comments down below and let me know what you loved or what frustrated you. With that, make sure to hit like and subscribe and hit that bell for more Arc Raiders content, which we'll be doing lots of it. You can also follow me over on X or Twitter at Airwingmarine1 for more of my off-the-cuff thoughts, as well as updates to the games I play and clips and stuff like that. With that out of the way, let's set the stage. The server slam ran from October 17th to the 19th. Kind of the 20th, I guess you could say, depending on where you lived. And this gave players a taste of the Rust Belt.
Finally, something looking food.
A post-apocalyptic Earth overrun by mechanical arc threats. With this quasi-beta, we got to explore the Dam Battlegrounds map, which is the remains of a destroyed hydroelectric dam that's overgrown wastelands now. It's got research centers, swamps, and plenty of structures to explore. Now, the Server Slam was a heavily downsized version of the full game. It had solo or squad play, special events like electromagnetic storms, as well as night raids. There was even the Queen encounter if you chose to go play around with that. Now, no progress is going to carry over to the launch from this, but if you linked your Embark ID on whichever platform you were on, you're going to snag an exclusive Server Slam backpack, which is just a cosmetic, when the game does drop. Now, the servers held up really well for the Server Slam. There were some early queues and issues like that with Steam, and we did have to have a hotfix right away that required you to full download the whole game, and that was to squash some issues with crashing and disconnects. But other than that, it went great. So now that you know what the Server Slam is, let's talk about the specifics. What's new or changed since Tech Test 2? Now, Embark didn't drop full patch notes or anything like that, but from playing and scouring community feedback on X and Reddit, a few things stand out. First, the traders. These are in Speranza, the underground city or hub or whatever you want to call it. They got some tweaks. Along with the access to the early quests, we were able to buy stuff off of them, obviously. And instead of just all being cash or credits or whatever the money is, like they were before, some of them were even barters, which made the loot you got out a bit more interesting. And along with this, loot value seemed to be kind of buffed a bit, though I think that was just for the test because of the limitations. But all of that is more streamlined than before, with a focus on earning cred through daily feats like destroying arc units or extracting rare gear, which these creds can be used to unlock stuff in the Raider deck, which we got a quick sample of that. It's kind of like a battle pass system with free and premium tracks, it looks like. I'd say think something along the lines of Helldivers 3, but we'll see on the 30th. And I say that because there was no purchase or anything live with the Server Slam, but it did look like there was a spot for it. Now, the crafting saw some updates too. We had blueprints for weapons and gear that were scattered around the map that are new and stuff we haven't seen. We only had basic workstations like crafting stations like the workshop, weapons, equipment, medical crafting, all that stuff, but no upgrades were available for those, and we didn't have access to every station. This kept things very simple, but new recipes were floating around for several types of items we've never seen before. So I'll be eager to get into crafting those once we get to release and find them again. And to me, it's clear they're building toward a deeper progression at launch, where you'll unlock higher tier blueprints and station levels. Now, for new things on the enemy side, we got a few new additions to the Arc lineup. The Bastion got a much more dangerous brother, the Bombardier, who lobs mortars at you with the help of its spotters. Bisons had their name changed to Leapers, and the Pop robots got turned into menacing suicide drones that drove up to your feet and popped. But the big shift was the increased AI difficulty. The robots are way more aggressive now than they were in the tech test, and way more accurate. They're quicker to swarm, they're harder to shake, and they deal serious damage even to geared squads. In the tech test, smaller arcs like Wasps and Hornets felt like fodder once you had decent kit. But here, they were lethal from the start. I saw some posts with people talking them about being overpowered, especially the flying ones, third-party and PvP fights, or just picking you off one at a time. But it's a double-edged sword. It makes the world feel dangerous, but can frustrate new players with the pea shooter starting weapons, or at least the gear. And this is especially so if you don't understand how to fight them. Oh. That one landed right next to me. Now, one of the bigger changes we saw that was kind of confusing at first was the shift with augments. These are the gear enhancements for stats that have to do with how much gear you can carry, how big your backpack is, how heavy you are, things like that. We didn't get the full suite, but from what was testable, they tie into crafting more tightly. They let you tweak your loadout for specific threats. And they do this because instead of just having one augment at each tier, we had 3 augments at tier 1. One was focused on combat, one was focused on looting, and a third was on utility, each with their own pluses and minuses. There was a 4th 1-year free kit, which was new as well. There were also some new gadgets added, and some of the older ones were refined. We had new baby smokes that only seemed to have a purpose of covering an extract terminal, and alarm clocks that you could use to alert you of raiders trying to sneak up on you if you place them properly. Think little traps with old school wind-up alarm clocks. Now, the only thing that outshines the graphics in this game is the sound design. The map's atmosphere with misty swamps and echoing robot whines pulls you in. And even though the game looked and just was unbelievably gorgeous, optimization was solid. I ran max settings at 1440 and was well over 120 frames. And that's on my good rig with no stutters or hiccups. Though there was one spot on the map near the middle of the dam that was crashing lots of people's games. Hopefully that was just one little glitch with some kind of weird thing there. And it gets sorted out in the before we get the final build, which I'm sure it will be. But the game still ran like a dream, even on lower end PCs. And this matters because this is what impacts the PvP side of things. Having bad performance makes PvP worse, and the PvP encounters were thrilling. And with this short test, people really threw themselves into the PvP, and it made for a lot of fun. The community vibes, from what I saw, were hyped across every platform. We had posts raving about the fun, comparing it to old school Halo parties. And for Extraction fans, the risk reward of breaching loud spots, which attracts everything around you, is addicting. And whenever PvP does break out, that flare flying up in the sky at the first person going down is a dinner bell for everyone nearby. And it just kept the action going and going and going. Even though it was really limited, it somehow still had that one more raid pull. On top of this, crossplay seemed to work seamlessly. And the event drew massive numbers, over 185,000 concurrent players on Steam alone at peak. Embark even extended the server slam I'd say a few hours, I think a lot of hours, due to demand, which shows they're listening. It was supposed to end Sunday morning in the United States, I think, and they extended it to basically 4 a.m. on the East Coast time Monday morning. So if you're coming from Tarkov, Hunt Showdown, or the Cycle, this feels like a fresh take. Less grindy early on, more accessible, but with the depth that it's teasing at launch, man, it's going to be good. But it wasn't all smooth sailing, and I want to cover some of the gripes that were out there, whether I agree with them or not. One of the more consistent ones was the lack of content and repetitive loops. With only one map and early to basically, mid-tier gear might be a stretch, the progression got stale fast. The quest capped out after 4 to 8 hours, depending on if you'd played the game before or not, which turned each match into a glorified TDM. Loot felt boring pretty quickly. Most of it was useless crafting materials because you didn't have everything unlocked that you would use them on. And high repair costs eating up the few valuable materials that you did need just kind of got annoying. Some were calling the whole thing overhyped, saying the SLAMP soured expectations for newbies. There were posts claiming the devs held back too much to avoid spoilers, and it made systems seem shallow. With the AI third party in almost every PvP engagement, it was a huge pain point for some, especially with the limited stamina you have, making escapes tough. Solo play, I'll admit it, it's brutal. Arc swarms easily wipe you if you don't have great cover and no squad support. And there was even some complaints about the progressive elements like diverse character options that rubbed folks wrong, pulling in complaints about DEI or diversity, but that's all subjective. To some, it felt like a teaser that frustrated as much as it teased. For me, though, none of these complaints really rung true. Of course, the game feels empty and could get boring quickly. It was stripped of a huge portion of its content. By my assessment, we were given access to less than 10% of the game. I hit full completion of every bit of progression in like 7 or 8 hours, which I probably could have done in 5 if I had focused on that and not been screwing around or just trying to have fun with friends. In Tech Test 2, which had progression turned up more quickly so people could speed through it, I didn't even get close to complete with over 45 hours of play. And there is a lot more coming with the release on the 30th than we even had in Tech Test 2. And I would bet a steak dinner that for every person who canceled their pre-order because they got a bad taste during the server slam, more than one person either pre-ordered or is planning on buying the game at release because of the server slam. The game hit nearly 190,000 current players 2 days in a row on Steam alone. And even on the 3rd day, it scratched 150K. These are huge numbers considering a ton of people ended up playing on Epic because you could get in sooner, and then consoles too. And keep in mind, this is a game that has done almost no marketing. For example, like Battlefield, there was no huge event where millions were spent to fly in hundreds of streamers to show off a multiplayer reveal. This kind of showing for Arc Raiders is a really big deal and speaks volumes to its draw on players as a game. Now me, I had fun with solo play. I like that extra challenge. It is a lot more difficult, and it's pretty much an entirely different game playing solo versus playing in even a squad of 2. Wasps and Hornets are dangerous nuisances when you're running 3 players, but they are real threats alone, and they will chew up your ammo fast if you do choose to engage them. Now, all in all, this game won't be for some people. Extraction shooters are a completely different game loop than the vast majority of gamers are accustomed to. But this game is going to be one of the first to really bridge that gap, I think. Now, wrapping up, the Server Slam was a solid stress test that highlighted Arc Raiders' potential gorgeous world, tense extraction, but it needs more meat to hook everyone. The AI buffs and trader tweaks show Embark's iterating, and with full maps, quests, and gear at launch, this could be huge. I'm optimistic. I played nearly 30 hours in 3 days, and I can't wait for October 30th. But what about you? Did you play the Server Slam? Did you buy into the hype? Or are you headed the other direction and you don't like it? Comment below and let's discuss. But as always, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to check out the Arc Raiders playlist that we have here for more content. Follow me on Twitter at Airwingmarine1, and we'll see you in the next video.